What is an underrated travel destination that you would highly recommend?
Croatia. Not everybody will like stuff here, but it's the only thing keeping my country's economy running LMAO.
Siena, Italy. In the Tuscany region, but not as crowded and touristy as Florence. Not a tiny town with nothing, but not so massive you get lost. Go around the Palio and there is always something happening. Personal note, the B&B I stayed at was near the main square, right above a little coffee shop which was next to a old guy's little fruit market. Waking up in the morning and going downstairs for a cup of coffee and some fresh fruit was too perfect. I would do anything to go back to that little place and enjoy a simple cup of coffee.
Estonia. Any of the Baltics really. But Estonia is an absolutely delightful place. It has one of the nicest airports I've ever seen, it's super affordable, great public Wi-Fi so it's easy to navigate, Tallinn is so beautiful and clean, the coast is lovely, the people are friendly and the food is delicious. I absolutely loved our trip there and it would be a great base camp if you want to check out the pricier countries around it like Finland, Norway, and Denmark. I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of traveling in my life and Estonia is one of the highlights.
Won't tell, because otherwise it will be overrun by Reddit tourists.
North Wales, it has the Snowdon Mountains and so many small steam railways.
Everyone I know only travels to Greek islands and doesn't really spend time on the mainland except for some archaeological sites. But regions like Chalkidiki are very nice too. Plus Greece has a pretty unknown repertoire of wildlife preserves.
Canada. Overall, I don't think of Canada as a very travel-friendly place, as it isn't a very common destination, but it is truly beautiful. We have everything from sprawling coniferous forests, to the prairies, to the redwood forests, to tundra, to rock, to anything, really. So maybe next time don't spend all your time in Toronto, or Ottawa, but go somewhere undiscovered. Because that is what Canada is about.
I don't want to tell, because I don't want it to be spoiled by too many visitors. All I will say is that is somewhere in Russia. On Sakhalin Island.
Tanzania. It's a hidden gem in Africa.
Nicaragua. Incredibly beautiful, and very inexpensive. It's like a poor man's Costa Rica.
Inland Spain. Spain, it's not only sun and beaches, but also a lot of history, castles, good food, nice people, and not expensive. Greetings from Salamanca.
The southern uplands of Scotland. Most tourists bypass the south of Scotland and head to the Highlands, so the southern uplands tend to be quieter and less touristy.
Please, if you ever come to Brazil, go to Lençóis Maranhenses, Halapau, Setting of Survivor Tocantins, Benito, Chapada dos Veadeiros, Alter do Chão. All of them are not as known as Rio de Janeiro and they are so amazing. When I traveled, I found Japan underrated. It is really famous, but even then was cooler than I thought. Krakow and Eswatini were really great too, as Myanmar, but they are not in a good place now.
Iran. Friendliest people I have ever met in my whole life, plus the food is really good.
Osaka. Yeah, I know everybody wants to travel to Japan, but hear me out. People overwhelmingly only visit Tokyo and if they care about things other than pop culture, Kyoto. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with Tokyo, as a travel destination, at least, and Kyoto is my favorite place to visit, anywhere, but Osaka shouldn't be overlooked. It's a big city like Tokyo, but with a much longer history, smack dab in the middle of the Kansai region, the historical cultural center of Japan. It's frequently stereotyped as being more fun and laid back, and I think there's some truth to that. It's also the culinary capital of Japan, if you're a fan of, food.
Franconia Notch State Park, NH.
Faroe Island, Christmas Island, and more micronation islands of the Pacific.
So many places, in no particular order: San Gimignano, San Marino, Normandy, Brittany, Kentucky, Quebec City, Krakow, South Island, New Zealand. There are many beautiful places that are off the radar. Skip the big cities, go for the places between them.
Island of Chiloé, Chile.
Pawnee, Indiana, or Muncie.
Kinsale, Ireland. Awesome coastal town south of Cork.
Sicily. Great food, a lot of sun, great Caribbean-like beaches, beautiful mountains and forests, great culture, different from northern Italy, a lot of historic places like ancient Greek temples and cities, a lot of history, not full of tourists as it's underrated, haha, which I view as A+.
Olympic National Park in Washington is definitely one of the more underrated national parks in the US. It's literal rainforest in the Pacific Northwest and has great hiking, lodges, lakes, etc. It's probably a one-of-a-kind environment in the US.
Mountain cabin retreat that has zero cell phone coverage and no internet.
Cape May, NJ. It is literally the southernmost town in NJ. Cape May is best known for its huge Victorian mansions, incredibly wide beaches, outdoor shopping, and none of the loudness, commotion that comes with a typical resort town. Plus Wildwood is right next door, which has the boardwalk, amusement parks, etc. for when you do want the resort feel.
Scotland. The island's the most northern points as tourists tend to do Isle of Skye and not further on to Uist, Lewis etc. I'm from there but have been living in the US the last 9 years, can't wait to go back and visit my country.
Krakow, very beautiful and underrated.
Deadwood, South Dakota, like a mini Vegas without the crowds. You can get a log cabin on the outskirts of town for a week for the price of 2 days in a Vegas suite.
Russia, Georgia, Mongolia, Uzbekistan.
I'm from Dorset on the Jurassic Coast, so we have plenty of places to camp, glamp, and seaside hotels surrounded by 7 miles of beach with fossils. In Dorset we have an abandoned village that my ancestors came from, a destroyed castle, a famous forest called the New Forest that's also in the county of Hampshire home to wolves, and a tank museum.
Slovenia. I went on the recommendation of an old flatmate as was blown away. Absolutely stunning scenery and an excellent holiday destination if you like the outdoors or driving holidays. I wanted to go back last year but COVID scuppered those plans. We'll absolutely go back at some point. I would move there if I had any chance of learning the language but I am linguistically challenged at best, smiley face.
The state of Chhattisgarh in India. It is ignored by most travelers in India, including Indians themselves as well as peoples from outside India. It has quite a few natural sites which are still uncorrupted by the whole tourist treatment.
Fjords of Norway.
Great Basin National Park in northern Nevada. It's known for stargazing, but is the least visited state park.
Colombia. We visited many places there and all of them were great. I think Cartagena is a common cruise ship destination but the rest of the country is filled with great spots as well. It's overshadowed by Peru, Argentina, Bolivia even on the backpacker trail, but I much preferred Colombia. I'd recommend Salento, Guatapé, Cartagena, Popayán and the Ciudad Perdida. Medellín is also nice if you want a city vibe. In Europe, I think Bordeaux is pretty underrated. It's obviously famous among people who like vineyards but it's a great city in itself and Arcachon/Dune du Pilote is a fun excursion.
Huron National Forest in Michigan. The forest is located around the second knuckle of the first and middle fingers on your hand map, and it's amazing.
Brussels. It's amazing.
Although I've yet to visit, I hear Muscat, Oman, is extremely tourist-friendly and geographically beautiful.
The Black Hills of South Dakota as well as the Badlands is almost like something out of a fantasy novel, especially Lake Sylvan.
Cuba, Tanzania, Vietnam, and Hungary are places I recommend that a decent number of people have not traveled to. Usually there is at least one from that list they haven't gone to yet.
Jim Thorpe, a small Pennsylvania town named after the greatest Native American Olympic athlete of all time.
The Canary Islands, some of the best beaches I've ever seen and not as expensive as other beach locations, Punta Cana, Cancun, Maldives. Hotels aren't very expensive and Spanish cuisine is brilliant.
Your own backyard. This really depends on where you live though. I am in Australia and spent 7 years living in the outback. I used to go on lots of 4WDING, hiking and camping trips. People see my photos and listen to the joy I have when describing remote parts of Australia. I have also done plenty of travel in Europe, Asia and also a skiing in the US. I don't want people to think you shouldn't go overseas. There are things you will see that you can't do at home. I just feel a lot of people always forget to explore the beauty of their own country.
Mobile, Alabama, Dauphin Island to be specific, it is a wonderful beach town, and cheap as well.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.